Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm continuing my J.G. Ballard series here with his, what is this? The 17th. I'm up to number 17 now in Ballard's bibliography, published in July of 1961, is a short story titled The Overloaded Man. And this was published in New Worlds issue number 108 in July of 61. And what The Overloaded Man is about is a guy named Faulkner who gradually becomes disconnected from the physical world. First by quitting his job and gradually becoming disconnected through his real life and erasing the reality around him. He finds he has this power that he can decide that something doesn't exist and it no longer exists. And he keeps doing this until reality is erased. It's a cool little story. But is Faulkner really erasing reality, or is he just psychotic? You don't know. That is never answered. You have to kind of decide that for yourself. If you think this is a science fiction story or fantasy story, or if this guy is just bonkers. Especially considering the title, The Overloaded Man, I think what Ballard is talking about here is our modern world's tendency to become overloaded, to become burned out, to have so many stresses on you that you just can't take anymore. And you start, your mind starts erasing things. You start forgetting things. You start dropping the ball on things. You start to not want to do things. You find yourself just wanting to lay in bed all day. You become depressed. You become detached. And it's kind of like the same thing as what Faulkner is doing in this story. Erasing the world around you because it's just too much and some of it needs to go away in order for you to hang on. That does happen to all of us. And it happens to Faulkner in this story. It's Ballard once again having his finger on the pulse of how the modern technological world is affecting man and individuals. And in many cases, in many ways, causing problems for us, causing things that we are having difficulty adjusting to. And I don't think in our current world that situation has gotten any better. If anything, computers have accelerated that problem to where now we have way more stress and way more things on our shoulders and way more things to deal with and way more information coming in, and we are even more overloaded than Faulkner ever could have been in 1961. But it's still interesting how relevant Ballard's fiction always is to today. This is more recent than any of the previous stories I've done, and yet I've seen a number of times where these stories touch upon issues of our world now, 50 years later, 60 years later. Ballard is definitely an important writer. And he's constantly in narrowing his view to the planet Earth and the near future, even though at the time, people felt he was getting really surreal and really weird. He still is putting things into his story that are so relevant to all of us today, to every one of our lives. We can read those and go, yeah, been there, done that, man. It's just uncanny how brilliant of a writer he was and how brilliant he was at assessing modern technological society and foreseeing future problems in modern technological society. So that's about all I want to go on that one. Leave the rest up to you to read it and see what you like. If you have read it, or if you do go and read it, please come back and leave your comments. Tell me what you think of The Overloaded Man, thoughts about Ballard in general. put them in the video comments for all of us to read and enjoy and maybe learn something from. And I will be here doing these. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe buttons and come on back and see more by Ballard. His next story, his 17th published work, is going to be Mr. F is Mr. F. I never read that one. That's going to be a new one for me. So I'm looking forward to that story. I hope you are too. And I will be here doing these and many other authors as well.